Good morning, sir.
Mr. Duquette, would you please state your full name and your Department of Corrections ID?
Todd Michael Duquette, 336250.
Thank you, Mr. Duquette. My name is Alvin Roche, and I will serve as chairman today. To my left is Ms. Cheryl Renaza. To my right is Ms. Pearl Wise. Let me explain the process to you. I will read some information into the record. Afterwards, we will conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, one Vinoy will give remarks. If you have any family members, we'll give family members a chance to make a statement on your behalf.
Yes, sir.
At the very end, before we vote, we will allow you to make a statement on your behalf. If there's any victim opposition at headquarters or here at Southern University's Law Center, we'll give them a chance to make a statement. Do you understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Duquette, you are a second felony offender. Your offenses are indecent behavior with a juvenile, 4 counts, oral sexual battery, 1 count. You were sentenced on July 24th, 1994. You were revoked on July 2nd, 2008. Your sentence was 5 years at hard labor, each count of the indecent behavior, and 10 years for the oral sexual battery. You have a total sentence of 30 years. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your parole date matter of fact, your parole date is March 25th, 2018. Your good time date, March 28th, 2021. And your full term date, March 23rd, 2037. Is this information correct?
I believe so, sir.
Okay. We have opposition at the hearing. Would the opposition please stand? Would you please give your full name and your relationship to this offender? Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. At the appropriate time, we'll give you a chance to make a statement.
You've been incarcerated, 11 years, with only 2 write-ups. So I want to commend you on a good conduct record. You've had a recent mental health evaluation, which indicates your mental status is within normal limits. So, considering some of the info that we've talked about, I want you to tell us why you believe you should be afforded early release.
I wish to say this, first of all, as far as my participation in faith-based, I'm a strict church member of Full Gospel. I'm one of the prayer warriors, very involved in the prayer team and the revivals they've been having around here, very much involved in ministry, and have been for, pretty much back there at Camp C and since I've been up at the main prison. But as far as why should you give me early release? Well, I don't come as if it's a right. I understand here, after 21 years of incarceration, I understand privileges, not rights, privileges. And it would be a blessing to get out there. It would be a blessing to apply what I've learned in here. It would be a blessing to help more people. It would be great to be a productive citizen. It would be great to have another chance at society. It would be great to get a chance to make up for my past crimes. I can't blame anybody but myself. I take full responsibility, have from the get-go, and I'm a changed man. As far as merit, I have conduct, I have behavior, I have heart, I have character, references, but I'm simply humbly asking for mercy, because that's what it boils down to, is mercy.
Okay. Well, let's talk about, we do in the record have opposition that's been expressed. There's opposition. The sentencing judge will hear from the district attorney's office shortly. The chief of police in Baton Rouge also has expressed opposition. During the investigative process, we were unable to locate victims, but I'm anxious to hear from the district attorney's representative in that regard. We also do a risk assessment score, and your risk assessment score on the Tiger, which is a new tool we're using to assess risk, you rate moderate. You're a moderate risk to reoffend. We also do a static 99 risk assessment for sex offenders, adult male sex offenders. And in that category, it's concerning because you rate in the moderate to high category to reoffend. And you were 1 point away from being a high risk. So that is concerning to me. I don't have any other questions of you, Mr. Duquette.
Ms. Wise?
Mr. Duquette, do you have any supervision on your Texas charge? Did you full term on that charge?
On the Texas charge, I full termed in prison.
All right, thank you. That's all.
I was on detainer here.
Sir? Go ahead.
I'm sorry? I was on detainer from Louisiana while all the time I was there.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's
But I was in prison.
Okay, so you have no supervision outstanding in Texas as parole or anything?
I went through the Teen Challenge. I went through the Teen Challenge program and graduated. And I went to the sheriff's office. He sent me to the city police, and they sent me to the lady that works with sex offenders. She contacted Miss Murphy, and then Miss Murphy told me to get with her. I did, and she said she couldn't do anything until she heard from Miss Murphy, and that was the end of that. I just lived in an apartment, got out, lived in an apartment.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. That's all I had, Jim.
Let's hear from the victim side. Brandy, would you like to come up and make a statement? Brandy? Address all your remarks to the Committee on Parole and not to Mr. Duquette.
Good morning. My name is Brandy. My family and I are victims of this inmate, and we strongly oppose him being granted parole. In 1993, he was charged with 49 counts of sexual acts with children, and these victims were all between the ages of 8 and 12. He was charged with indecent behavior with juveniles, oral sexual battery, aggravated crimes against nature, and sexual battery. Under a plea agreement, however, he was able to plead guilty to only 5 of those crimes. He was sentenced to a total of 30 years in prison, but then that sentence was suspended and he was placed on active supervised probation with conditions. Less than 4 months later, the inmate violated those terms of his probation and his sentence was imposed. Although he was convicted of 5 crimes, there are many other victims. My family is among those other victims. In the spring of 1990, he anally raped my brother Josh, who is pictured right here, and my oldest brother Wayne. And he also did them by oral sexual battery. At the time, my brothers were 9 and 11 years old. My family was a fairly normal family, but after my brothers were raped, we were devastated. And even though these crimes happened in 1990, my family is still suffering. After he was raped, my brother Josh developed mental and emotional problems. They grew and grew. And when he was in the 5th grade, he tried to kill himself. Wayne also developed mental and emotional problems, and after he was raped, and his way of dealing with it was to act out. Unfortunately, his way of acting out involved raping me. I was 6 years old. And he continued to rape me almost every night until I was 10. It should not be surprising to learn that I still have problems from all of this. In my entire life, I have never known what it is like to feel normal. I know that I now have a completely twisted view of males, and my trust in people has been ruined. My desires and abilities to have a boyfriend relationship were destroyed before they could ever develop. If this inmate would have just stayed away from my family, I think I would have had a chance at a more normal life, even after watching my mom survive a domestic violence attempted murder, which is why we came to Baton Rouge. But that chance was stolen from me. Another victim of this inmate is my mother, who had to endure the trauma of her 2 sons being raped and all the problems that it caused. That's from out right here. What this inmate did completely traumatized my entire family and changed all of our lives forever. My mother would be here today, but she passed away. So on behalf of myself, my mom, my brothers Wayne and Josh, as well as his other victims, I ask that you not grant parole to this inmate. His victims continue to suffer, and he should have to serve the full sentence that he was given. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
And this man has demonstrated by his actions, because he was given the keys to the prison by Judge Irwin. Judge Irwin gave him the keys to the prison. He chose by his own actions when he violated and sexually abused a 10-year-old child in Texas. He chose to open up the jail cell. And while he said to you that he served 21 years, 10 of those years for his crime in Texas, he has served 11 years for this crime. He has in no way, shape, or form served the full sentence.
At this time, Mr. Duquette, would you like to make a closing statement?
The statement is totally false. I didn't do those things to them. I didn't do those things.
Thank you, Mr. Duquette. Is the panel ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Renaza?
Mr. Duquette, I'm really concerned by what you just said. However, let me just say this. I want to commend you on your ministry work that you do and are doing and have done in the faith-based community there at Angola. I want to commend you on your educational accomplishments. However, today, because of what we've heard here today, the risk assessment that has been conducted that puts you above the low category in the moderate to high risk, my vote today is to deny your parole.
Ms. Wise.
Mr. Duquette, my vote is denied for the reasons already been stated. Additionally, you have law enforcement opposition, strong victim opposition, and you have a history of sex offenses.
Mr. Duquette, you have received 2 votes to deny your request for early release. I must agree with my colleagues this morning, and my reasoning is for the same reasons mentioned by my colleagues. You have received 3 votes to deny your request. Your request for early release has been denied. You have a good day.